I love this time of year when the new range of fruit trees is just in. We've got pear trees here, range of 4 or 5 different varieties. We've got cherries on the other side, and I'm surrounded by this enormous range of apples, all shapes and sizes, cookers and eaters, pink flesh, early ripeners, late ripeners. Here's one here, scrumptious with a lovely dark red colour, and then we've got all sorts of other ones. Some of them have got fruit on them, most of them not. It's not a great idea to have too many fruit on a young apple tree, but at least you can see what kind of colours of apples you've got. The trees have not grown too much. The roots are in a perfect stage now, ready to be planted in your garden. This is the perfect time of year to start planting trees. The best apple for Scotland is the well-known red apple called Discovery, which ripens in September. It's very, very sweet. A few years ago, a sport arose, the rosette, which is exactly the same as Discovery, tastes the same, looks the same until you bite into it. And inside, well, the flesh is an amazing pinky reddy colour. A really attractive apple, and kids love it because it looks like strawberries inside. Pears need a little bit more shelter than apples for best results because they're not quite as tough, and the best place to grow them in Scotland, particularly inland, is on a wall if you've got one, and it protects the opening blossoms from frost in the spring so that the pollinators can pollinate them. And there are really 4 varieties that I recommend for Scotland. Concord and Conference are the long, thin, narrow pears. There's another one called Williams, which is a good tough plant. If you've got a sheltered garden, the most delicious pear of all is Doyen de Commies, otherwise known as Commies. It's a sort of fat, squat pear, and it's the sweetest one. So if I was going to have one pear for taste, that would be the one. The 4 main kinds of fruit trees that you can grow well in Scotland: cherries and plums, you only need one. They're self-fertile, or all the ones that we sell are. But with apples and pears, you need to grow 2 different varieties in the same garden or the same area in order to get fruit set. And with apples, you can also have crab apples will also pollinate them. Now, if you're in a town garden and your neighbours have got apples or pears, it may be enough for you to have one in your garden and someone else's apple to do your pollination for you. But to be on the safe side, it's probably a good idea to plant more than one. Not everyone has got room in their garden for apple trees. There are 2 ways to go if you're short on space. One is to select an apple on a dwarfing rootstock, so you'll get a slightly smaller tree. Another alternative is to think about growing ballerina apple trees. This is one here, and it's basically a great big narrow column. It does get quite tall, it will go on and on upward until it reaches the sky, but it never grows out very far, and therefore it doesn't take up much space. So it's quite a good way to get a sort of compact column of fruit, as you can see here. Now, the ballerina apple trees, I wouldn't say necessarily have the most delicious fruit of any apples, but they'll certainly give you a lot of crop in a small space.